Well, let's speak to Stefanie Dekker. She joins us now from occupied East Jerusalem. Steph, just picking up on what Alan was reporting there, this disagreement over a Palestinian future. We are now seeing seemingly a more public rift emerge here between the White House and Israel.
Yes, I mean, the bottom line is it really only is the Americans that have the power to put real pressure on Israel to actually perhaps, be able to change the course. But we haven't seen that. You have the Americans very publicly since the beginning supporting Israel and its right to defense. It's used its veto in the UN Security Council. So now what you're seeing, as you mentioned there, an increasingly public disagreement when it comes to the political future, to the next step. Now, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has made it very clear that he does not consider that a possibility at all for an independent Palestinian state. We heard him reiterate that again yesterday, not in those words, but saying that the day after for Gaza meant Israel being in full control of its borders and being in control of everything that goes in and out. So I think, the bigger picture is that we've never been further away from a Palestinian state. The last time talks happened with the Americans involved was 10 years ago. And even then, it was only about talking about what potentially could be discussed. So not dealing with the major sticking points like, the right of return, borders, East Jerusalem. All these difficult things weren't even touched at that point. And those collapsed after an intensive shuttle diplomacy between, at the time, U.S. Secretary of State John Kerry. And Palestinians will tell you that the last 10 years have only solidified the occupation, losing more and more land. And now you have in this government members who actively live in the occupied West Bank, who call for the expansion of settlements, who call for the right to pray at the Al-Aqsa Mosque compound, changing the status quo. So you can see the dynamics when it comes to Israeli politics and who is in charge now and why you have such pushback on the idea of a future Palestinian state.
Well, there are domestic rifts too, right, Steph? There's a vote of no confidence in the works against Netanyahu. You were telling us earlier that's not likely to go anywhere?
Yes, because of the numbers, Netanyahu and his coalition hold 64 seats of the 120-seat Knesset. This is the Israeli parliament. A vote of no confidence would need 61. That's not going to happen. But I think what you can take away from that is that there is unhappiness in the politics here with the way he is leading the country, not just from opposition parties, but also from within his war cabinet. We had the National Unity Party only join this cabinet, it has to be said, the war cabinet, because of the idea of national unity during this time. We heard from Gadi Eisenkot. He is an observer member of the war cabinet. He's also a former military chief of staff. So this is a man with extensive military knowledge and experience coming out on Israeli media saying that anyone who tells you that Hamas can be eliminated militarily is lying, and that real compromises need to be made to reach a deal to get them out. Because at the moment, Netanyahu's policy when it comes to returning the captives alive is a military one. So again, you have these challenges from within the cabinet that he's facing, and also increasingly more and more voices from the ground, from the people, tens of thousands coming out on the streets, not only in opposition to the way he is leading to try and bring the hostages home, but also simply the fact that they don't believe in his leadership anymore.
Stefanie Dekker there with the latest for us from occupied East Jerusalem. Thank you, Steph.